NFL insider Dianna Russini is out of a job. Shocking development here in the biggest scandal in all of sports as the Athletics insider, NFL insider, has resigned.
Call a spade here. That the more we've learned about that hotel, you are not in that hotel unless you're there for romantic reasons. That's what that hotel is all about.
Dianna votes on Coach of the Year, and she voted Mike Vrabel for Coach of the Year. That is probably the clearest and the biggest conflict of interest. Coaching contracts are private, so we don't necessarily know what bonuses might be attached to Mike Vrabel winning Coach of the Year.
This is not a story about two people's personal lives. This is a story about how information moves in the NFL. Who controls it? Who delivers it? And what happens when the line between a reporter and a source becomes a question that the entire league is asking out loud? On April 7th, 2026, photos surfaced of New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini, senior NFL insider for The Athletic, at a luxury resort in Sedona, Arizona. It was published in the Page 6. The photos showed them together at breakfast, at the pool, and later that evening on a private rooftop. Both are married to other people. Both gave statements. Both said the photos lacked context. But the football question buried underneath all of this is the one that nobody wants to answer. And that is the only question we are here to talk about. Russini is not a beat reporter covering one team. She is one of the 4 or 5 most connected NFL insiders in the entire industry. She spent 8 years at ESPN, appearing regularly on SportsCenter and Get Up. In 2023, she moved to The Athletic, owned by the New York Times, where she took a senior role with a bigger platform. When Russini reports something about an NFL team, it moves the market. Her posts get picked up by every major outlet within minutes. She is the kind of reporter that NFL front offices actively use to communicate, leaking intentions, floating trade interest, and shaping public narratives around personnel decisions. That is how the insider economy in professional football works. Adam Schefter does it, Ian Rappaport does it, Jay Glazer does it. The best ones have spent years building deep, trusted relationships with coaches and executives across the league.
Oh, Laura, we have breaking news right now. Aaron Rodgers officially is being traded to the New York Jets. The Jets are sending their first-round pick this year.
Russini has been covering Mike Vrabel since 2018. First with the Tennessee Titans, now with the Patriots. That is a 7-year working relationship between a reporter and a primary source. That is the context you need going in. Here is what we know happened. On Friday, March 27th, Vrabel was in Tempe, Arizona for Arizona State's Pro Day, a completely legitimate work event. The NFL annual league meetings were opening in Phoenix that Monday, and coaches and executives from every team in the league were in the area that week. After the Pro Day, Vrabel drove 2 hours north to Sedona and checked into the Ambiente Resort, an adults-only boutique hotel with bungalows that run up to $2,160 a night. The resort is not on the way to Phoenix. It is in the opposite direction. On Saturday, March 28th, photos were taken of Vrabel and Russini together at the resort throughout the day and into the evening. Those photos would not go public for another full week. They leaked on Friday, April 4th. That gap matters because everything that happened in between, the league meetings, the reporting, the access, all of it unfolded before the public knew any of this had occurred. On Sunday, both returned to Phoenix. The NFL annual league meetings opened that day at the Arizona Biltmore. Vrabel was there as the Patriots head coach. Russini was there as a senior journalist covering the meetings. They were in the same building for 4 consecutive days in a professional capacity. On Thursday, April 3rd, one day after the meetings closed, Russini published a piece about what she had learned at the Biltmore. She mentioned Vrabel by name in the second paragraph. On Friday, April 4th, the photos went public. Within hours of the photos going public, everyone involved responded. Vrabel told Page 6 that the photos showed a completely innocent interaction and called any suggestion otherwise laughable. He said the situation did not deserve further response. Russini told Page 6 that the photos do not represent the group of 6 people who were hanging out during the day. She added that, like most journalists in the NFL, Reporters interact with sources away from stadiums and venues. The Athletic initially backed Russini publicly. Their executive editor said the photos were misleading, lacked essential context, and described Russini as a premier journalist they are proud to have on staff. But there is a significant problem with Russini's account. Eyewitnesses interviewed by Page 6 directly contradicted her Group of 6 claim. Those witnesses said they only saw the 2 of them. Not 6 people, 2. That contradiction has never been addressed or explained by either party, and it is one of the central reasons this story did not go away. Then on April 14th, 1 week after the photos went public, Russini resigned from The Athletic, effective immediately. In her letter, shared on X, she wrote that she was stepping aside not because she accepted the narrative being built around this episode, but because she refused to let it define her career. She stood behind every story she had ever published. She did not address the nature of her relationship with Vrabel. The Athletic's executive editor confirmed the resignation to staff, acknowledging the shifting response. He admitted the initial instinct had been to support a colleague, but that as additional information emerged, new questions became part of the investigation. Critically, he confirmed the review of Russini's work will continue even after her departure.
And I think the move here is, Chris, I'm going to resign, and hey, New York Times, Athletic, you can end your investigation now. You're going to potentially jeopardize my future career if you go forward with this and reach your preordained conclusion, and there's leaks and there's negativity and it's just more stuff I have to deal with.
Yeah.
I'm walking away.
Yeah.
You stop your investigation.
Here is where this becomes a story about the NFL, and not just about 2 people at a hotel. Over a 2-week period in early March, Russini became the single biggest source driving the A.J. Brown to New England Patriots trade narrative. On March 6th, she reported the Patriots had shown interest in Brown, and that the Eagles were holding firm on price. 1 week later, she reported that the Patriots and Rams were both making strong pushes. Days after that, she supplied the dead cap math. $43 million if the Eagles trade him before June 1st, $16.4 million if they wait until after. That specific number was repeated by every NFL outlet for the following 3 weeks. It came from Dianna Russini. Across roughly 2 weeks in March, she became the dominant voice on where A.J. Brown was going, when it would happen, and why. 2 weeks after her last major scoop on that story, the photos in Sedona were taken. The question this raises is not about personal conduct. It is about sourcing. Where did that reporting come from? How much of it reflected the Patriots' genuine intentions, and how much of it was a head coach using a trusted relationship to shape a public narrative? That is a legitimate football question, and it is one that every front office in the league is now asking. The June 1st deadline is still coming, and when the A.J. Brown situation reaches its conclusion, people will be looking back at this reporting with very different eyes. The response across NFL media has been significant and split. Boomer Esiason raised concerns about what this means for Russini's credibility going forward, specifically the journalism aspect, not the personal one. Craig Carton said the photos have permanently attached themselves to her name, regardless of what comes next. Dan Lebitard said he was genuinely uncomfortable addressing the story and did not know how to approach it fairly. When Lebitard does not want to talk about something, that tells you how sensitive the territory is. Stephen A. Smith and Jim Rome both addressed a secondary angle, the timing problem this creates for the Patriots during draft season, when every piece of public narrative about your team carries real value. The idea that a head coach may have been a source in his own distraction story right before the most important personnel event of the year is not a small thing for a franchise trying to rebuild. Jeff Pearlman made the counter-argument that if a male reporter had been photographed in the same situation, this would not be a major story. That double standard is real and worth taking seriously. What is notable is that even the people defending Russini and Vrabel are not saying the photos look unremarkable. They are saying the reaction has been unfair. Those are two different arguments, and the gap between them is where the real conversation is happening. In NFL media, the relationship between a reporter and a source is supposed to be professional. It is supposed to produce information that fans, rival teams, and front offices can trust. When that relationship becomes visible in a way that prompts reasonable questions about where the information is coming from and why, the product of that relationship gets re-examined. That is not a personal judgment. That is just how trust works. The NFL insider business is always run on relationships. What happens next, with the investigation, with the reporting, with the trade deadline, will say a lot about where the line is, and whether anyone in this industry is still willing to draw it. I hope you will like this, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I like to hear your thoughts in the comments section. I read every single one of them. Let's talk. Have a great weekend.